I started b-boying way before I started skating, probably like around early 80s. And that was just an extension of being in the hood, the neighborhood I grew up in. The major thing at the time was BMXing, doing backflips, ghetto gymnasts. Then graffiti came, and then b-boying. I had this ill story happen. So I had this Harrow Freestyler that I built from scratch. It had like Tough Wheel 2 Skyway mags on it. Then I had built this Hutch Trickstar from scratch. And I had my buddy riding it, and we went to this half pipe. I seen silhouettes of some dudes coming, and I was like telling my friend Ty, I was like, yo, we gotta break, we gotta get out of here. So we started dipping, and the field that we were riding through, the grass was like 3 feet high. We couldn't pedal that fast. So the two dudes run up on us, and they're like, yo, kick it in. And I was like, oh man. And I had, at the time, I was like 14, I had a knife on me. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, I got my hand in my pocket, I got my hand on my bike. So there's two big dudes, both on either side, and they're like, kick it in. And I'm like, nope, because that was like my pride and joy. And I was ready to pull out the knife, and then I stopped, and I was like, I just got this flash of like a blood, and like, I was like, I'm either gonna stab him and he's gonna die, or I'm gonna get stabbed and I'm gonna die. And I was like, it's gonna be a horrible scene. And I was like, oh, it's not worth it. But all this happened in like an instant, like all those emotions and things went through. So I kept the knife in my pocket, and I just handed him the bike, and I was like, I'll make another one. And I remember when I seen the dude's face, I recognized him from being this crazy character that was known around these different neighborhoods for doing like raw stuff. So I was like, oh yeah, I can't mess with him. So after that situation happened, I got into skating because I thought that if I had a board, no one's gonna steal a board from me, because it's not a valuable thing in the hood. But if you had a fresh, dope ride, a dope bike, you know, you were a target. So after that situation happened, I was like, I started skating, and I fell in love with it. Yeah, I was 14 years old, man. 14 years old, carrying a knife, ready to like stick someone over a BMX bike, a chunk of metal and plastic. I was riding for television, which was pretty sick, like Mike V hooked that up. I met Ed later on. Mike V and Ed came to Boston on a tour. We did a demo all together, and they were leaving, and I was like, yo, you think I can go on tour with you? Ed was like, sure, I don't see why not. So I left. I had just what I had. You know, I had like one pair of pants, sneakers, whatever. I threw my underwear away after a while. I just freeballed it the whole time. And I just changed tour shirts and got like clean socks whenever I could. And I just skated. That was the best time of my life. So when Mike and Ed split, and Mike was trying to do television still on his own, and I stuck with Mike to try to see if, you know, things would work out. It fizzled away after a while. And then Ed hit me up, and he was like, you know, like, I'm trying to start this brand up called Toy Machine. Since you're not riding for anyone, like, I would hate to see you ride for someone else. Like, I feel like you're part of our family already, so like, it'd be dope if you'd ride for Toy Machine. It's pretty dope to be a part of it right from the beginning. Oh, big time, huge. I was already drawing and doing stuff like that because I was influenced by graph artists. So when I got into skating, I seen guys drawing with paint pens and tagging and stuff, and I was like, oh, I know what's up with that, you know? I never really grabbed a hold of it too much. And then I remember Ed and Deanna came by my house one time, and they seen some of my drawings, and they were like, what, you did this? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, oh, I can draw, you know? That's what we took it as. In the hood, it was like, oh, he can draw. Yo, you draw too? I can draw. When these guys asked me to go pro, Ed was like, you know, you should draw your own model. And I was like, yeah, you're bugging, you know? But he was always drawing, so it was just like second nature to him to always be like Sharpie, pencil, sketching, looking at you, like drawing cartoons of you. So seeing that, it made me feel a bit comfortable with just like grasping a hold of that creative side of myself and just embracing it more. When he gave me that little extra push, it helped me to have that self-confidence that like, yeah, I can express myself, and no one's gonna think it's stupid, or like, and if they do, so what, you know? Because he would draw like he would paint the craziest shit himself, nude, like penises floating around and stuff, and he didn't care, you know? So it was like, oh, Ed don't care, Ed's super rad, like I can do whatever I want to, like who cares what people think? And that's what his whole thing was always about. It was always like, who cares, do what you want. I would see him down in Soho. I was working at a place down there, and he would come by and mess with me sometimes. He'd come in sometimes, he'd peek around the corner. Someone would be like, yeah, it's this weird guy, like this crazy guy keeps poking his head in. He came by here the other day, this weird dude, he's asking for you. And it was Gonzales. So he'd pop in every so often and he'd be like, oh, let's go skate sometime. He'd be smoking a cigar and stuff. So finally one day we hooked up and we went to St. Vincent's. So I was super psyched. I'm like, damn, I'm about to skate with Gonz, like something dope. So I'm at St. Vincent's waiting, and then he comes barging through blowing a red light, completely blowing a red light, like doing this. He just goes by and I'm like, holy shit, cars are beeping, like bam, bam. He just went straight through, like cars flying by, he just went straight through. And I'm like, oh shit, here he is. We start skating and stuff, and he's super amped up, and he gets on top of the bank at St. Vincent's, and he's like, yo, watch this. So he's trying to drop in on the bank and then ollie off the bank and then slide the rail. And he was saying how he almost did it the other day skating with Jason Dill. And I'm looking at it like, that's impossible, right? But I'm not gonna tell the Gonz that it's impossible. He tried it a few times, he didn't hit it, and then he gets on top of the bank and he's like, oh, watch this, watch this. And he starts pushing along the wall of the bank and he tries to ollie over the railing. And as he goes, his truck catches the edge and he goes flying, he flips over the rail. It's bad. He gets up and he's like blood dripping from his face, his nose. He has his phone and he's taking pictures of himself. He's like dripping blood down his face, taking pictures of himself, texting people, sending the pictures. And he was like, fuck, I knew I was gonna get hurt today, I knew it. So I'm like, yo, I live down the street, we can go clean it up or whatever. And he's like, nah, it's cool. So he wipes the blood off. He was like, let's go to Washington Square Park. So we skate to Washington Square Park, we're just jamming, sick as fuck. And he's like, oh, I got this spot I wanna show you. I was like, all right, and he's like, oh, it's uptown, we gotta go uptown. So we're skating uptown, just bombing, straight through traffic, hitting stuff, like epic, taking this one to the grave. We proceeded, we're probably like in the 60s by now. So I see his board, and I'm like, yo, let me try your board. And we're walking uphill. I step on his board, and his board, the trucks are shaking loose. His board's like 10 inches wide, and his trucks are like probably the 169 Indies or something. Super loose, and I'm like, how was he trying to ride across the wall? The wall that he was riding on had to be 10 inches wide. When I stepped on the board, I instantly turned and swerved. So I'm laughing like, yo, you tried to ollie over the rail with this board? And he's like, aha. So we keep going. Finally, we get up to the spot, and he's like, it's a ledge. So we skated 80 blocks for him to show me a ledge. And then we caught a taxi back. It was the raddest time ever. I was thinking about it the other day, I was like, damn, having hops right now has been like the cherry on the top. You know, like being involved in skating this long and to have a brand right now has been like a blessing. So it's like, you know what, I'm still here, I'm still involved in skating, I still love it. Like, this has been the best part. Having that creative outlet is, you know, because skateboarding it's a lifestyle, it's a culture. So it's like, once you get into it and you start to recognize, like, you know, the type of creative personalities that are inside creating it, like, there's no other place really you can go to get that kind of like freedom and enjoyment, you know, and gratification. So I don't know what I'm gonna do afterwards. If hops were to disappear tomorrow, I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do, you know what I mean? So I'm just trying to be in the present and the now and appreciate everything I got now and be thankful for now. That's it. It would be, if I could pick a pro from each era, I would have Ray Barbie, Sean Sheffy, Javante Turner, and Kareem Campbell. Those would be the dudes. Hops Dream Team.
An expensive, like, actual restaurant. Most kids probably bring you to McDonald's. Huh?